Tell him I got the juice.
So healing is not becoming hyper independent. Many women have used the phrase "I'm working on myself" or "I need to heal" as an excuse or a doorway to do one of two things. Either using their freedom for purposeless activities, whether it be sleeping around, spending on liabilities instead of assets, or just doing things that don't make them a better person. Or the second option is to stay abstinent and truly figure out why you have become the problem. You have to identify the problem and then the solution. Either way, this forces you to become independent in your own way and lean less on others, both causing you to grow. But are you growing towards the sun or are you growing towards the darkness? Make sure not to use your healing time as a crutch to do things that will traumatize you even more and take you to a point of numbness. You have to identify the problem and then figure out the solution. When you take the option of sleeping around, it adds another very selfish factor that you may not think about. You might be hurting other people. You know the saying, hurt people hurt people? Yeah. Can we stop doing that? Pointing the finger and not pointing at ourselves. I know sometimes we're punished for the truth, but we're gonna have to face it someday, whether it be to man or to God. Just know only one of those show true grace. No, healing's not.
Ooh, that was stanky. That was stanky.
When you say you're healing, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that as a way to cover up your promiscuity and you engaging in all these kinds of things that are really distracting you from what you actually need healing from? Or are you actually taking the time to discover the problem from past experiences, traumas, issues, and dealings that's actually pushing you forward to becoming the person God has called you to be? And as always, your boy has Bible for this. So I want to take you to 2 Kings chapter 5. And what we're going to imply out of this text is a message that is shown in this. And so in this context, Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded because through him, the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. Now, bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." Naaman went to his master and told him by the girl from what the girl from Israel had said. "By all means, go." The king of Aram replied, "I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took from the king of Israel read, "With this letter, I am sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy." Okay, as soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, "Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of this leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me?" When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent to him this message: "Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and you will be cleansed." But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought that he would surely come to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed?" So he turned and went off in rage. Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed?" So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and had became clean like that of a young boy. Okay. All right. Long passage of scripture. I hope you hung in there with me on this. Here's the biggest thing I want you to see. Naaman was given a opportunity to get healed, but it wasn't in the manner that he expected it to. And it was almost his pride, his own pride, that cost him the legitimate healing he wanted and he longed for, because he didn't want other people to look at him in a certain fashion because he was a king, he was a valiant leader, he was a valiant soldier. He couldn't see himself dipping himself in the Jordan River, which was a dirty view and a dirty river compared to the rivers he compared that was in Damascus that was clean. Hey, that's where I'll be respected. That's how people gonna look at me right. And so I want to keep that image in the eyes of people, and that almost cost him his healing. And I bring that to you Because if you're in a situation like here, Naaman, where you actually do need some healing, but because your pride is in the way, because you're more concerned on how your ex is going to look at you if you were bawling and crying, if you were doing all this stuff, grieving as a way of releasing all the feelings and emotions that you had, right? So I need to prove to my ex, I need to prove to my people that I moved on from, that I don't need you. So I'm popping bottles and I'm turning up, doing everything else, but not healing. And I'm afraid that you find yourself in a position like this and it's your pride that gets in the way, like Naaman. And if you aren't careful, you're actually going to miss the healing you need to create the relationship you desire, because you don't want people to see you in a certain way. You don't want to be seen weak. You don't want to be seen as somebody who was really jacked up over that breakup. I just think that if we're really going to get true healing, we can't involve ourselves in things that aren't actually going to progress us, all for the sake of looking cool and cute. We have to get involved into the spaces that God actually has provided for us, to lean into that, because that's actually where the healing comes, and really indulging in what God has placed in front of us. It may not look like how you wanted it to, but as long as you're with the healer and you're being obedient to that instruction, I think you're going to be okay. And I think you can walk out on the other side healed, like our boy Naaman did, where he was able to put his pride down to the side and was like, you know what, I got to go get this healing. So what are you considering as healing? Be careful what you're labeling as a healing journey, because some of y'all lying and you're actually not engaging in a healing process. What you're doing is you're using that as a term of endearment to indulge in other things that aren't actually progressing you, and you're doing that to just shoo people away that you're not even interested in, and you're not really actually trying to do anything, build a relationship with. I appreciate you guys all so much for tuning into this video. Listen, if you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe, like this video, share with a friend who too can maybe gather some information here on the healing process and whether or not they're truly in one. And I appreciate you guys all so much. And until our next conversation, be easy and be breezy, my friend. Hey, peace.